Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Yesterday evening, the entire crypto market started cratering downward, bringing everything, including XRP, along with it. And that lasted for about 7 hours. Then we got a bit of relief and then back down and a little sideways as of the time that I'm recording this. And I'm going to share with you a bunch of opinions from various chart analysts in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam, with most of the perspectives having been shared after this most recent cratering of price occurred. So it's going to be some pretty fresh stuff on the whole here. And I'll just tell you this. Some analysts think that the price of XRP may drop, like things could get worse here in the short term. But others are optimistic that there's a reasonable chance that the bottom locally could be in. And so nobody knows exactly where the bottom is. And you'll notice as I go through this video, really none of the chart analysts that I follow have intense conviction as to where the bottom's going to be, but they have strong opinions about what certain levels, certain support levels breaking would mean for the market. So we're going to get into that. Now, I will tell you, so just to ease your worried minds right now, there's not a single analyst that I follow that believes that there's data out there sufficient to believe that the bull run is over. Not one single analyst. Also, on top of that, there's those 30 metrics that are warning signs that the bull run has heated up to a point where we're at the top. Literally 0 of those 30 triggers has fired. 0 out of 30, folks. This market cycle is not over unless this time is different. Famous last word, so I'm not going by that. I do not count on that. That is not remotely probable. Unless we have a true black swan event, so maybe there's some sort of global catastrophe, something. Outside of that, there's no reason to think that what is probable is that we continue downward. This is not a time to be fearful, even though the market absolutely is right now. This is a time to be excited, so far as I'm concerned. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 7:35 a.m. Central Time, which is my time zone. Welcome to September, everybody. It is Monday, September 1st, 2025. Oh, where does the time go? XRP is at $2.77 with a 24-hour low of $2.70. Yeah, you can see how we trended downwards. Look at this. Around 5:30 p.m. yesterday, again, that's Central Time, yesterday being Sunday, of course, trended down. I mean, little brief pops somewhat to the upside, bottoming out here, 12:20 a.m., so it was about 7 hours. Down to $2.70, then a fairly quick pop up to $2.83, and then back down and sideways. So look, crypto's volatile. You guys know that. You don't need me to teach you that. You're aware it's the most volatile asset class on the entire freaking planet here. So I don't know what the price is by the time you're watching this. So it could be lower, could be about where it is, could be a little higher. I'm straight up telling you, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You shouldn't focus too much on the short term. Focus on the prize. Focus on the big picture. That is what matters. We're going to continue trending upward. And I have been through an untold number of events just like this where people are scared, and all of them have ultimately not mattered, and they all end up getting forgotten. This may seem super critical to you listening to this right now. Oh my God, but my net worth's down. Is it actually over? Oh my God. I understand. That's what humans go through. So you're normal. You're not weird or bad or stupid or anything. You're definitely not. You're very normal. But this happens every single time there's a price drop like this. And I'm telling you, fast forward a few years, you're not even going to remember this. It's not going to matter. And even if, like, the worst happens, what would the worst be outside of a black swan event? So we're actually entering a bear market. Even if it is a black swan event and we enter a bear market, so that would be the worst case scenario. Markets recover unless you think it's the literal end of the world. Markets recover, it still doesn't matter. So if you just hold and then you be patient and you become at peace with the fact that you don't control when the market pops, you'll recognize you're going to be fine, because markets really do recover. So either you have exposure when that happens or you don't. Which is it going to be for you? You guys decide. Here you have Bitcoin at $109,000. 24-hour low of $107,377, got up to $109,800 roughly when it popped long, and it did at the same time XRP did. I mean, if I flash back and forth between these two charts, you can see pretty similar the more notable movements, they happen at the same time. So the market moves in tandem. To be clear, there's nothing wrong with XRP. Fundamentals of XRP have never been stronger. Quit freaking out if you're freaking out. Here's a post from Altcoin Sherpa, and this one is one of the few posts that is not from after the most recent price cratering happened. This is from yesterday morning, but still worth sharing. So I'm up Bitcoin here. He says, Bitcoin, as I said, this type of pattern will continue until price finds a bottom. And what he's talking about is just a downward trend in general for Bitcoin, lower lows. And he says, I assume this will bottom. This bottom will be somewhere in the $104,000 to $108,000 area. No clue where precisely. Lower highs every time, though, on the lower time frame charts. And so that's interesting to me. And it's true, I'd like the intellectual honesty. He doesn't know for sure where this thing's going to bottom. That's the right answer. Nobody does know for sure. But I've highlighted multiple analysts that I follow warning that Bitcoin could get as low as $105,000. And they've stated if it goes lower than that, they would be perplexed. And a couple of them said they'd be, like the blockchain back, for example, he said straight up that he'd be willing to embrace the idea that probably the top is actually in for Bitcoin if that happens. So we're getting close to that, and that may make people nervous. But this type of closeness happens in crypto all the time, actually. I understand that could make you feel nervous, but probably the best is yet ahead. And then there's still that opportunity for alt season, even if Bitcoin's cooked. But again, if Bitcoin's cooked, markets go in cycles. So even if that's the case, which I don't think is probable, it still recovers. It's not like if the price goes down, you get to hold less of the crypto. No, you get to have the same quantity of crypto unless you choose to sell. You decide what you do. That's why I just hold. I've been through every single up and down literally for almost 8 years now. Literally every single one. Never cashed out to USD, never sold a single XRP in my life. And because I've done that and I've had broad exposure and I've increased my exposure over the years, my crypto is worth a freaking fortune compared to what I put in. I'm telling you, investing, having broad exposure, mostly in large caps, it just works. It does just work. So you can play the game, you can not play the game, your choice. Here's a post from Altcoin Gordon, shared this with his 802,000 followers on X. He simply wrote, a V-shaped recovery on Bitcoin would be nice. While everyone screams it's over, I am buying. Now, what you're going to find is that the reputable analysts with great track records, with large followings, they're not fearful here. They have enough experience to know that these things are very common, even at the end stages of bull markets, which is where we are now, almost certainly. And it's fine. It actually is fine. It's not like that meme with the dog where it's there with like a cup of coffee in front of him and everything's on fire. It's like, this is fine. No, it's actually fine. It literally is. Here's the Nijin Tropic account. This is run by the co-founders of Glassnode and Swissblock. And they wrote this. And by the way, this is a newer post. This is from 2:58 a.m. Central Time, so a little less than 5 hours ago. They wrote, when expectations tilt too far in one direction, bullish or bearish, they usually get front run. Right now, sentiment across our feed looks heavily skewed toward shorts and cash. That imbalance often fuels sharp moves as misallocation turns into chasing. Meanwhile, liquidity flows and smart money tell a different story. If you're following Swissblock and Bitcoin Vector, you'll see quiet accumulation already underway. Tale as old as time, folks. What do you know? The smart money typically wails. Because they've got their wealth and they maintain it for a reason. They don't consistently make stupid mistakes. The smart money, when they see dips like this, they buy the dip. Now there does eventually become a point where buying the dip means that you're actually buying the top of the market cycle. That happens once every several years. That does, and you don't want that. And the whales don't fall for that. We're not there, folks. We just aren't there, unless this time is different. But as far as I'm concerned, famous last words. Here's a post from Charting Guy. What time was this? This is 9:47 p.m. last night. And he shared a bear emoji followed by an emoji of a trap, indicating bear trap. He is not falling for this, folks. And this is a recurring thing. The analysts that I follow, which, again, none of them are perfect. They all get things wrong from time to time. On the whole, they have great track records. None of them are afraid. And so I reposted that and wrote, yes. That's simply one word, yes. Correct. And not that I know that's the case. Like, I acknowledge it could be wrong and fine. Bitcoin craters down and we're actually in a bear market. Okay. What I'm saying is, and I'm admitting, I don't know. I'm saying that's not remotely probable. That's my stance. That's it. Here's another post from Charting Guy, and this is from 2 days ago. So this is Saturday morning. And he was looking for this to happen. Charting guy said, XRP back near early August lows. Check. Would like this to hold $2.65, the wave went high, to keep this count valid. And the count, by the way, ultimately leading to $4.60. So that's still valid, according to him. And he said, I think we're close to bottoming, but need to see some confirmations of things. Okay, so we're still above that at this particular juncture in time. Nothing has changed so far. And he's just not concerned. Like, I know that we're getting close, but that happens, again, I said it a few minutes ago. A lot of times when there are these key support levels that could invalidate ideas from various chart analysts, sometimes you do get very close to it. That's actually pretty damn common. And it makes you sweat bullets if you're paying attention to it. But just is the case. And again, even if something's invalidated, and that sucks. Like, I'd prefer that not happen. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Everything's going to be fine. On the whole, fast forward another 5 years, another 10 years. Where do you think the crypto market's going to be? It's going to be way more than what it is right now. You are fortunate to have discovered crypto before almost every single other human on the entire freaking planet. I think it's something like maybe 6% of humans on the planet have ever bought any cryptocurrency. And way less than 1% of humans have ever bought XRP. So yeah, you're fine. You're early. It's just, this is the price of admission. And by the time everybody's in, yeah, there's going to be way less volatility, but the purpose of investing is volatility. Without volatility, you're not going to get these gigantic upward swings. So yeah, you don't like it when it goes down, but you also get to ride it to the upside, which is mostly what happens because the asset class is trending upward because it's useful, people value it, and it's not going away. XRP is a clear winner of the crypto, early winner of the crypto space. Utility's never been higher for it. It's not going away. This is not a time to be fearful. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom, XRP USD chart here. And this is from yesterday morning before the price crater. And then I think everything else from here is going to be, I'm pretty sure everything else I have for you is going to be after the price started falling. But so again, this is 7:15 a.m. yesterday morning, Sunday. And chart analyst Zoom wrote, XRP just ranging alongside the whole market, holding key support. There comes a point where it will break out. And if you don't have exposure, you'll regret it. Well, folks, that sounds a lot like what I've been saying for years. The way I phrase it is either you have exposure when the breakout happens or you don't. But inevitably, even though I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, there's going to be another breakout in the future. Now, since we're at the tail end of this market cycle, I'm going to hazard a guess that it's going to be much sooner than later. Call me silly. I'm just being a silly goose here. I think I'm right. I'm pretty damn sure because history tends to rhyme with itself. Here's a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto. I got a couple from him. The first one was from 2:14 p.m. yesterday on Sunday before the dip really started going, but he saw it coming, which is why I'm sharing this. Check this out. And he was talking about a trade. So he does like the vast majority of his XRPs. He's publicly shared this. He's holding it. He hodls. He's been hodling for the better part of a decade, probably about as long as I've been. And but he also gets into trading, and he seems to do well at it. I still discourage people from trading. I mean, I admire him having great ability at finding success on the whole in this, but just be aware that 90 to 95% of traders lose money. So do you really want to play that game? Do you need to introduce that risk and stress into your life? What else could you be doing with your free time here? Like, do you really want to play that game when you can really just get life-changing wealth from just buying and then not doing anything? So I think most people would be better off if they don't get into trading. I refuse to do it. I think that it's silly nonsense for most people. But I do admire those who are actually good at it. So anyway, I just mentioned that to say he is talking about a trade. That's what he's referencing on the screen. And it reads as follows. Going ahead and closing this out just above entry. Idea is technically not invalid yet, but with a drop looming on Ethereum, as per my last tweet on it, and XRP having not moved up yet, I think we may seek liquidity lower. And so, folks, that's him saying he thinks the price was likely to go lower. And at the time he posted this, it was around $2.80. And he was right. Absolutely, whatever he saw on the charts, he was like, yeah, I think it's going lower. It went lower. And so he says, don't want to force this as long as it was already quite aggressive to begin with, and I can always jump back in higher on strength. We'll post a low time frame chart soon with some thoughts to go along with this. So again, that was 2:14 p.m. yesterday. And then there was this. This is last night at 10:06 p.m., close to 8 hours later. And he wrote, right move again. We just took the lows at $2.72, which is where my stop loss would have been. And so there you go, folks. He saw this coming. He's not freaking out about it. This does not change his perspective on where XRP is going this cycle. He insists XRP is hitting double-digit price action this cycle, and he thinks it's most probable that XRP peaks somewhere between $20 to $30. That has not changed. The lower time frame price action, meaning what happens in the short term, doesn't matter. I mean, if you're a trader like him, then it matters. But for the average, if you're just holding spot XRP, which is all I'm doing, no, it doesn't matter. Like, I track it because it's fun to track it because you've got skin in the game. That's how I feel about it. That's why I get lit up and really enjoy following this, because it's fun. It just is, in tracking the ins and outs of what's going on. But it's not going to change what I do. It's just fun to observe it, you know? So if you're just holding spot, yeah, this is not a thing to freak out about. Here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez, and this is posted this morning, 3:03 a.m., so a little less than 5 hours ago. It says, bullish path for XRP. Defend $2.70. Well, at least we are at the moment I'm recording this. Break $2.90, then target $3.70. So he's clearly still optimistic that we are finally going to hit yet another new all-time high and ultimately price discovery. I mean, look, XRP, you can't deny that it has tremendous strength. It's the number one performing coin out of the top 100 since the election still. It's not like that's gone. It's just that the entire asset class moves in tandem. The fact that XRP price has gone down has absolutely, literally nothing to do with its fundamentals. The fundamentals have never been stronger. It's just because the asset class moves in tandem. That's that. You just got to make peace with it. Here's a post from chart analyst Galaxy, XRP. He says, nothing wrong with a retest of the bull flag before new highs. And so, and by the way, that was just last night at 11:29 p.m. Central. So his conviction isn't lost. And you can see, I mean, the price of XRP obviously had already fallen down with the rest of the market to that point. Not a big deal, folks. Here's a post from chart analyst Greg Crypto. This is at 1:41 a.m., so about 6 hours ago here. He also has not lost his conviction because that wouldn't make logical sense, and so he hasn't. So again, 1:41 a.m. Central this morning, XRP USD chart, he says, no wicks, no price noise. Did we lose any body candle structures? No. Did we fall below any Fibonacci targets? No. Did we drop below the 21 EMA on the monthly time frame? No. Unless we see all of the above happen, I refuse to declare that the bull run has ended. I'm still in the camp that that have one more leg up ahead. Yeah, and I'm in that camp too. I firmly believe that is what is most probable. That is what has happened in the past. We've never had a cycle end without people getting greedy and rotating profits from Bitcoin into large caps, and then it filters through the rest of the crypto space, including XRP. We've never had a cycle end without that retail mania, and there's no inkling of that. And we certainly never ended without seeing those top indicators, those 30 top indicators start to flash, those warning signs. So no, I don't think this time is different. That doesn't make sense. And we still haven't seen Bitcoin catch up to global M2 on top of that, which absolutely it has followed for over a decade directionally. Over 90% of the time, for more than a decade now, it's followed it. And we haven't hit that. It lags behind it by 3 months. Upward. We're not done. We're just not done. Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK. This is at 2:21 a.m., so less than 6 hours ago. Liquidity update, XRP versus Bitcoin, ETH, and Doge. Looking at these 4 liquidity charts, Bitcoin, first of all, it says sitting at its major liquidity area around $106,000. For weeks, we debated whether that pocket would get tapped. It now looks inevitable. And so we're a little bit above that, of course, at the moment, but you can see what he's saying. And then for XRP, he says different story. And this is interesting. You're going to like this if you're an XRP holder. He says different story for XRP. It's already taken the liquidity below, wicking under previous support and flushing long positions. Structurally, this puts it slightly ahead. Ethereum still has around 8% downside potential to sweep its liquidity. Dogecoin, roughly 3% downside liquidity left to grab. This raises the key question. Is XRP front-running here? Because while Ethereum and Doge still have liquidity below, XRP is already positioned above its sweep. Combine that with XRP and Bitcoin sitting at a key support level, and the setup suggests XRP could lead the next pump. Of course, one risk is Ethereum and Doge suggests the market could come lower if they go to clear those zones. But my bias leans toward XRP leading this cycle, and this could be the moment of outperformance. On the hourly liquidity chart, there's no major liquidity left below us. The path of least resistance now looks to be upwards. So he thinks that there's a chance that we're actually at the bottom. I got one more from him, by the way. So that one was at 2:21 a.m. Central Time. This one's 2:34 a.m. Central Time. This is an XRP BTC chart, and he simply wrote, "Throw into the mix XRP BTC. On the 4-hour, XRP is pulled back into a key area of support. If you recall, back in July, I was discussing the importance of breaking/flipping this resistance into support. We are now retesting this as support right now. At the same time, the 4-hour relative strength index reaches the oversold area." Now let's pause and note right here, if you're looking at the screen where I move my mouse, that's what he's talking about. That's the RSI in oversold territory. So what do you think happens given that we're in a bull market here? What do you think? I'm thinking number go up. Anyway, so then he says, we are now retesting this as support right now. At the same time, the 4-hour RSI reaches the oversold area. Although this area hasn't guaranteed a bottom, more often than that, that's part I just read, we have seen a strong bounce from here. It says, couple this with the liquidity below versus the dollar, and you can start to build a decent bottoming argument for XRP. And so he thinks it's highly plausible that we have either bottomed or we're basically in that zone right now. So it does depend on who you ask, but again, even if the price of XRP and the rest of the crypto market's all lower by the time you're watching this, it's not time to flip out. If something is actually broken, and I acknowledge it's possible, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it here on the channel. Like if Bitcoin goes below that key level that so many analysts have talked about, below $105,000, we're going to talk about what that might mean, the implications, and we'll see where things go. Because that would throw a curveball in the analysis of many analysts. They've admitted that beforehand. So like that would invalidate certain projections that they have going forward. But we're not there yet. Yeah, we're fairly close, and so again, can make you sweat bullets, but this happens all the time in crypto. If it's broken, then we'll talk about it, but I ain't gonna sweat a damn bit, because this is normal. Like, welcome to crypto. It just is. I mean, how many times do I have to say it? Like, it just is normal. And then even if the worst happens, yes, like I said, we'll address it. But if you just have the attitude of, I will hold however long it takes, even though I'd prefer that it be sooner than later, even if it's years and years and years from now, then I'll still hold. If you have that mentality, like history shows, the people that have that mentality are the ones who win. So you decide what's best for you, but I know what I'm doing, and it's literally nothing. Because after I buy, I do literally nothing until one day I'm enticed to sell when my crypto becomes an outsized portion of my overall net worth. I mean, you could argue it actually is right now, but I'm still not going to be enticed to sell until we have that final euphoric blow off top here. And then, yeah, I'll be happy to talk about what I'm doing, but ain't yet. It's not time. And even if we did enter a bear market, you know what I'd do? I'd keep holding. And that'd be somewhat disappointing, but I'm an adult. And that means that'll end up holding crypto for over 10 years, but probably before I end up cashing out any to USD. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying. Now, mind you, I know people get spoiled with quick price action. Like, you really over 10 years moon level? Yeah, really over 10 years. That is what I do because I don't control when the market runs. But again, we're spoiled in crypto. Even if it were 10 or 11 or 12 years, and then you get the life-changing wealth, you got to understand, that would take like 40 or 50 years probably investing in traditional finance to get those types of percentage gains. So instead of waiting 40 or 50 years, even if it were 10 or 11 instead of 7 or 8 for me, okay. And by the way, it would have been several years for me if not for the SEC suing Ripple, because I heavy into XRP. I've diversified since then, although I that wasn't because of the SEC lawsuit. I had already decided to stop buying XRP in October of 2020 because I put like an ungodly amount of money into it. And I was like, if I don't stop buying now, I do have a serious problem. So it is time to diversify further out into crypto. And so that's all I've done ever since, the last 5 years at this point, just about. All I've done is purchase. Anytime I purchased, it was other stuff. XRP by a lot is still my largest holding, if that tells you anything. And I'm happy that XRP is my largest individual holding. Couldn't have foreseen what the SEC did, so no use crying over that. But on the whole, I am so thankful that I jumped into crypto when I did. It's been messy, and you couldn't have foreseen a lot of the stuff that happened. But really, I'm telling you, just like investing and waiting and doing nothing, like it just works. So sleep easy, folks. It's fine. It's fun and it's exciting, actually. Even in times like this, when people are fearful, I'm like, stop it. Stop it. Everything is fine. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.